Hello, my lovelies. I'm actually recording this. So just to give you a little bit of a heads up, I recorded this after the reading. Just to reiterate, trickster energy has been around me pretty much my whole life, but particularly has been with me for the last week. So there's a lot of spider energy, a lot of trickster energy, a lot of like, getting rid of the status quo and shaking things up. So when you go into the actual reading, the piles are as such. Moonchild is pile 1. Then we have our beautiful handmade Dreamcatcher's pile 2. And then we have the triple goddess symbol as pile 3. However, the way in which I read them is pile 1 stays as pile 1, and then pile 2 becomes our beautiful goddess energy, and then pile 3 becomes our dream catcher. So I wanted to give you a heads up. You will see, and I'm adding this at the beginning so you can see. So any way that you want to handle this, I would say the best thing to do is to you now know how it's going to be read, even though it will be presented very soon with these reversed. Just figure out maybe which iconography, which energy, and then based on that, this is the way they will be read. Pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. So bear that in mind. You're about to go into the reading. No matter what I say at the beginning of that reading, this is how they will play out. So as you choose your pile, please bear this in mind. And let's just give a round of applause for trickster energy, because sometimes it's crazy and it's confusing, but it's also beautiful, and it gives us some extra energy and boost to the readings. So go into the reading. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And there's your heads up. Sending so much love and light to you all. Enjoy the reading that's coming up. Take care. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unicorn Light Tarot. Sincerely hope everybody is doing well whenever you click on to this video. So we are here today to bring you messages from the Angel Guide Oracle, messages of power, messages to secure your own power and your own magic. So yeah, we will be working exclusively with the Angel Guide Oracle, which I just received and absolutely love. If any of you are interested, this is what the guidebook looks like. I absolutely love the energy of it, and the illustrations are really beautiful. So I'm expecting to get some very powerful messages for you guys today. So as always, we set up with healing and abundance energy candle. If there's any kind of energy that you want to let go of, cut cords, you can look into the flame and that will take it. Or you're welcome to draw in energy of abundance and healing, however you want to use the candle. It is dressed with magic oil, blessed and made under the full moon with the eclipse. So it's very powerful. And as always, we have 3 piles. I chose things that are very sacred to me for this reading. So for pile 1, we have Moonchild. Here we have a bracelet that says Moonchild. And then we have a Dreamcatcher, which is handmade Dreamcatcher here. And then on pile 3 here, we have, of course, the triple goddess symbol, which is also on my hand. So that's a very sacred symbol also. So whichever symbol is speaking to you, as always, please take as much time as you need. If you need to go ahead and pause the video, the more in alignment you are and the more calm you are and, visualizing what it is that you need to know, the more you will get out of these readings and these attunements and these alignments and these healing sessions, whatever you want to call them. So if you need to go ahead and pause the video, feel free to do that. All the timestamps, as always, will be down below. So let's go ahead and put aside pile 3 and pile 2. So if you chose pile 1, let us never forget that we still can use this session any way that you want for activation and healing. So if you are drawn to the moon child energy, then this is your reading. As a reminder, your reading is from the Angel Guide Oracle. We also have a couple of our beautiful, I love this, Ghosts and Spirits Tarot here. So this is the main foundation for your reading. And then we have some other oracles that we're going to bring in for you. So let's go ahead and start with the main event. So we have honesty and communication. So you can see these beautiful illustrations here. Honesty and communication, and then take charge and action. And let's see what we have here. There's a few things coming in for you too. Three of Cups, absolutely. And then the Emperor, wonderful. What if you can see that with the light? This deck also has beautiful illustrations here. So the message that I'm getting for you, pile 1 with the Moonchild, is particularly pertaining to your own power. The first thing that we're getting is very much about communication and also about community, and coming back to your sense of, when we say self-love, it's really about self-appreciation and self-acceptance. And the one thing that we're picking up on is that the work that you've done for yourself and that you've done with yourself and the healing that you've done has been really immense and absolutely beautiful. And you've done it in an insular way. You've done it on a cellular level, like the DNA level, absolutely. And now you are ready to be out there in the world and take a leadership role. And it's time for you to show your magic. Now, before, you didn't always feel as though it was safe for you to show your magic. And also for you, it was a matter of getting your emotionality under control. And let's be clear about that. There's no shame in having a lot of emotions and having a lot of emotionality. This is something that you came in with in this lifetime in order to achieve true power through emotionality, grounding into who you are and the beauty of who you are. And all of these self-doubts that you've had, you have an incredible amount of light, and it's beautiful light, and people sense your power, and it's really all about how you wield that power in this lifetime. And also, I've said this in other readings too, when you have a certain amount of power, it's almost like people are apt to project upon that power for various different reasons. And because you are very open in many situations, people feel as though it's an invitation for them to project upon your power and project upon you. So there's many different avenues that you explored in order to really clear out the old, cut the cords to your old life, we're saying here, because there's definitely a stepping into a brand new sort of sense of power. And this power doesn't come from outside of yourself, but at the same time, there is a need to be acclimated back into the world, and back into the world sort of on your own terms and standing in your own power. So, it's not that you didn't want to take charge before. You definitely did want to take charge. You have a leadership understanding, and in many ways, you're very used to being on the sidelines. So when somebody tells you to do something and you're not that invested and you're happy to do it, you will absolutely do it. But if there's a better way to do it, you'll also step up and say something. The leadership ability in you is very strong, and it's always been there. But you've not always stepped into leadership roles because there were many different components and different compartments that you needed to work through and integrate within your psyche. And one of them was how you were attached to your emotionality, how it overwhelmed you, what you did with it, and how it was specifically attracted to and melded in with your sense of self-worth somewhere along your line. And these are always very general readings, of course. We can only give general readings. So if this part of the reading doesn't acclimate or doesn't feel right for you, then just move on. That's totally fine. But for some of you, there was a certain amount of shaming with the emotionality. You were shamed for having so much emotionality, or the way in which people talked about you. They talked about you being very emotional, and you took it as something negative. Now we can clear something up for you very, very quickly that's coming up. Now, some people who sort of spoke to you about how emotional you were, they may have been sort of flippant about it, and you took it in a negative way, like, this wasn't a good way to be. Now, for some of you, if that happened to you, the people who were flippant about it actually didn't see emotionality in any way as being negative by any stretch of the imagination. They themselves were uncomfortable with it and had a certain amount of awe at the fact that you were so emotional, that you were allowing the emotion out. Did not know how to equate that action with their own life, so they were somewhat flippant about it. But they didn't mean it in any kind of negativity, far from it. And this is something that may not have been sort of explained, and this is something that systematically could have been happening to you somewhere along the line. For some of you, you got the idea or the notion that having too much emotion made you weak, or it made you unreliable, or in any way it was slightly negative. So you had a lot of emotionality, and your instinct was to dumb it down. And for some of you, you were able to dumb it down for a certain amount, and then there would have been an event. For some of you, it could have been in your early 20s, depending on how old you were, and some of you could have had it gradually, but a lot of you would have had some kind of event where something just sort of came through, and it sort of opened you up. And as it came in, it was almost like floodgates, and all the emotionality came in. Now, because you weren't utilizing the emotionality, you were aware that you were emotional. It's not that you didn't realize you were an emotional child, but for survival mechanisms, you did your very best to shut it all down. So when everything was opened up, then of course there was this sort of floodgate action that turned you into a little bit of a sort of a terrorizing kind of moment. And maybe that moment turned into weeks, turned into years, where this emotionality that you still have, this notion that it's somewhat negative, or associated with sort of weakness, or associated with, not with alignment in power, then when it all came in and you didn't really know how to deal with it, then of course you still were very fractured by it all coming in. So what you've been working on specifically, Pile 1, for your power is integrating that emotionality that you have, which is actually your superpower, and it's absolutely wonderful. Your power is absolutely linked with your own sense of self, with your own sense of self-esteem and beauty and your own magic. Your truth is linked to your emotionality. Your vulnerability is linked to your emotionality. And one thing that you are learning, and one thing that you are getting, Pile 1, is that you've always been the symbol of strength, no matter what. A lot of you have had this sort of stoic sort of outer lay. Nobody would know sort of who you are at the core. And it's funny that people, some people have guessed who you are. And, I've said this in other readings too. So it's the sort of energy that's coming up and cracking open as a collective. And for you, that's definitely true. Occasionally, some people have said, oh, you're emotional, you're this, that, and the other, and they think they know you. And then they go off into all sorts of other things that are just pure projection. The point of the story is, Pile 1, is that you're quite difficult to get to know on many levels. People think they know you, but you only show them a certain amount. So for you, your true power comes from this vulnerability that you have that's equated with your emotionality, using that as your superpower and really opening up about who you are and your own story. Now, we've talked about this on the channel. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a narrative. True freedom comes from stepping out of that narrative, stepping out of those labels. Yeah, all of that is true. Absolutely. But in order for you to really secure your magic and secure who you are and why you're here, it's very important to know and understand your story and the vulnerability that lies within that story. That's how you help yourself. That's how you help other people. That's what makes you relatable. That's what makes you ready to embrace this emotionality and turn that power into a huge superpower. So you're already doing this. The honesty and communication is coming out of your sense of vulnerability, which again is really being tempered by this emotionality that you're now seeing as a superpower for the first time. Now, you have come here in this lifetime to come back as a visible and identifiable understanding and truth for the divine feminine. And also to take that truth into emotionality and to teach people how to embrace their vulnerability and their emotionality in order to be themselves unequivocally and to stand in their own authority. So that's what you're doing, and that's where you are coming into. You're no longer emotional to the point where it's overwhelming for you. You're starting to come out on the other side of that, and you understand that your emotionality and your communication comes from this vulnerable side of you that is truly amazing and truly beautiful. The other side of you too is that you can see things from pretty much everybody's point of view, and sometimes that can pull you down because you can see everything from everybody's point of view. So it can be very difficult sometimes to make a decision, and you may at some point, for some of you, be accused of jumping out of, or being afraid of commitment. And at a preliminary level, if people are trying to sum you up, maybe you could say that, but you're not actually. When you get deeper, when you commit with your heart and soul. Yes, you don't always commit to the right things. And there's some things that you have committed to, and halfway through you're like, this isn't for me. And people have seen that and judged it in the past. But that really doesn't matter, because you also know that your time is precious. And if something doesn't feel right, you'll step on out of it. But when you commit to something, you'll do it all the way, that full on commitment. And it's a beautiful part of you, this understanding of commitment. And you are committing very much to your path and taking action to be there as the leader that you want to be. And in order to do that, taking in so many other people's points of view sometimes has made it difficult for you to move forward. And if you do decide on something, you're second guessing yourself, because the other side of it is that you want to live and be free. When you choose something, you're also saying to yourself, there's a million other things that I'm not going to do because I've chosen this one thing, or I've chosen this one person. And when we totally understand that, the other thing that you've been learning through honesty and communication with yourself is that when you truly commit to one thing or one person, you actually gain a huge amount of experience, a huge amount of beautiful freedom. And that's what we want you to concentrate on, because sometimes you've let yourself be wide open, and you've found it difficult to make a direction, or to go in one direction, or to take on one thing, or take on one person, because you want to be open, you want to have that freedom. And actually what that's done is at times it's kept you stuck. And it's done the opposite for you. It hasn't actually opened you up to the freedom that you thought, but you've realized this about yourself. And again, even if this is resonating with you, you might be at several different points throughout this reading. So if you're still at the point of working within the vulnerability and the emotionality, coming into your own sense of leadership, and understanding that true commitment, even when you choose one thing or one path, one person actually does integrate into and moves you into this beautiful sense of freedom, which opens up everything. And as we say here, living spherically instead of in a linear fashion where it's this narrow sort of path. And that's the way you want to do it. Go be you. No judgment here. But you're the type of person that wants to live spherically. So you are renegotiating your understanding of freedom and what that means to you. again, connecting right back into this beautiful sense of community, new people coming into your life, celebration and beauty, and again your sense of profound magic. I want to use the numerology cards here for a little extra. So yeah, the balance between the masculine, the divine masculine, and the divine feminine is something that you've been working with too, which is truly gorgeous. And you're starting to see the energy and the excitement and the joy that you have when true balance comes in from the divine feminine and the divine masculine, and really cutting the cords with the toxic masculinity, which is something that you've had to do throughout your life, and even on certain levels, again, for some of you, toxic femininity too, being told by other females how you're supposed to be, judged in a certain way, but under the pretense of being your friend, right? This has all been disclosed to you. This is all out. And this is something that you've been dealing with. And for some of you, it's been quite hard to sort of reestablish your female friendships, and it doesn't have to be female, the feminine friendships in your life. Particularly recently, some of them may have just fallen away, and some of them are, and some of them are, you're under negotiation. Sign up under negotiation. I'll get back to you. But you're realizing all of this stuff, so you can clear the way, cut the cords, and we don't want to have any judgment here about, any of these people that came into your life that were horrible. Or they were truly doing their best. Truly were doing their best in their own way. And we always say that it doesn't excuse that if you were treated badly, that was okay. And there's a lot of woo-woo stuff in the, and I don't even like the phrase new age, because it's kind of annoying, but this idea that, everything that you go through, taking full responsibility for it, you had to go through it to be who you are. We already know this. But it's okay to be angry. It's your soul didn't ask to be hurt. So we don't want to gloss over any of these interactions that you've had, or any of these friendships that you've had that obviously taught you things along the way, but they were bitter messages for you. They were tough on you. So you've been cutting the cords to the toxic masculinity and the toxic femininity, and really getting back into that balance between the divine feminine and the divine masculine, which is really helping you ground into your own beauty and really facilitating this move into your own power, which is truly gorgeous. Let's see what we have here. Financial discipline. I'm going to do one more here too. So everything is shifting for you now. Spirituality, yes. You've been on your path for a while. This is something that but you're ready to step up in that leadership role. You're ready to put, as we say, all your eggs in one basket and say, this is what I'm doing. Again, with the essence of commitment, it's, you had your own version of commitment. We don't want to say that you didn't have commitment, or that you have commitment issues. You didn't. But there was a lot of things going on that you were trying to balance. So even if you were a brilliant artist, you may have done it part-time. You may have done it and gotten a certain amount of success, and the people who come in and around your work love it. You're very talented. You realize this. But wherever you are right now, you are definitely ready to go all in, as we say, and put everything that you have into this path of being recognized for what it is that you're supposed to do. And with that comes financial discipline. With that comes, a new level of spiritual learning, a new level of leveling up, being in your own power, and having the type of success that you want on your own terms, doing what you want to do completely and totally with no compromise. It wouldn't have been even not safe for you, but it wouldn't have been quite the right time for you to do this before, because as we said, you had many other things to do, many cords to cut, and understanding these, especially the last 10 years, 8 years, 8 months, have been about really understanding the core of who you are. Because you're so open, you've taken on so many other energies, getting back to who you truly are, the uniqueness of you, and really coming to this like beautiful understanding and this self-appreciation and self-acceptance of who you are, and stepping into that role of profound leadership. You've already been working on your traits and your beauty and what it is that you're going to do in this lifetime. It's not like, oh, I've been healing for 10 years. Now let's go back to school. And no, you've been parallel working through all of this all the way through, the last 10 years, the last 5 years, the last 8 months. But you've been doing what you love to do sort of on the side, or taking it at a certain level, but you haven't leveled up and gone even further to be known for what you do. So in short, you will be known for what you do when you take that next measure of, I'm ready to put both feet in, I'm going for this, no compromises. Because you've been doing this behind closed doors for a while. You're ready to step into this power. Toadstool. Toadstool. Secrets revealed. Absolutely. You do have a secretive, mysterious side to you, and you don't purposely do it because you want to be one up on anyone else or anything like that. It's just that you're a very private, beautiful person. But everything that you've been doing, as we've just said, you couldn't have picked a better card, honestly. Everything that you've been doing behind closed doors, and you've been working at it. I mean, you've mastered your craft. You're ready to go out there now and show everybody what you've got. And it won't take long because these projects are ready to be seen. They've been created. So, and if there's several different elements of what you're doing, you're ready to integrate that into a practice that you already have, take it to the next level. But this is about securing your balance through communication, through your own vulnerability, claiming your own sense of self, through your own narrative, which you will leave behind when the time is right. But right now, it's about honoring your magic and your power, grounding right into your spiritual sense of self, and being right there and ready to work your magic and weave it through the cosmos so you can be seen and recognized for exactly who you are on your own terms. Absolutely love this. Just going to do one more here for the sea melodies. Definitely feeling the mermaid energy today, and certainly for this reading. So let's finish off with this one. Reflect. Peer into the endless ocean and see what peers back. And that's exactly what you're doing right now. Although when you do this now, what peers back to you now that you've cut the cords to everything that no longer relates to you and your new life, you see you. You see your reflection back. And it's been a really long time when you've looked in the mirror, you've seen everybody else's reflection. You've seen everybody else's version of reality. You've seen everybody else's opinion of you. Now, when you look into the ocean, you see you. And that is absolutely huge, Pile 1, and you deserve it. When you see you, you're fully back in your body. You're fully claiming who you are. This is an exciting, beautiful moment. If there's anything that you need to still cut the cords off, feel free at any time to make your own magic oil, or you can look onto the flame here and just cut the cords and release any situation or any person that you no longer need in your life, so you can fully move on and have that beautiful space for these celebrations coming in. So I hope that resonated with you, Pile 1. If it did, feel free to give me a thumbs up. Do let me know in the comments below if it resonated. I love hearing from you guys. And of course, as always, we have so many other ways to work with this energy and healing, the Unicorn School of Light. All the details are down below. You know the drill. If you feel intuitively like you want to check them out, everything you need is down below. Sending so much love and light and congratulations to Pile 1. Stay safe and sane until we meet again. Bye-bye. Hello, all you Pile Tours. If you chose the Triple Goddess, then this is your reading. As a reminder, it is... so it's pretty on camera. The Angel Guide Oracle, that's going to be our main oracle that we're working with. We also have a couple of tarot cards that we're working with too for your foundational reading. And we are looking into gaining power, what is how to get back into your own power and vitality. Don't forget, we also have the beautiful healing candle. You can either project upon what you don't want and let it go, or you can pull in healing and beauty into your life. So let's get right into the reading for you. So we will start off with these beautiful cards: the angel guide, strength and guidance, and the word no. Okay, so let's go into your tarot cards and see what we have for you too. Oh, the sun. Oh, this is a gorgeous reading. Well, they're all gorgeous readings. And strength. Absolutely. This is a beautiful message from your guides pile two. Do not doubt yourself. Do not doubt yourself under any circumstances. For those of you who have been feeling a little self-doubt or a little unworthiness recently, you've gotten to the point where you've done so much healing and produced so much light. You have a lot of light in the world, but you've actually been using your light recently to shine within and heal yourself, which means that aspects of you have been illuminated also and have been coming up for you. For those of you who have been going through some sort of grief, it could be recent or it could be old grief that's been coming up and you're now dealing with it. Your guides are letting you know that they're with you now, to hold you in a safe space for you to really come to terms with it and integrate that grief. As we all know, grief changes shape and it shifts and it moves. But you know, the loss stays with us throughout our lives, and we can take it into other lifetimes too. But we can come out on the other side of the grieving process. So again, these are always general messages. If that aspect of the reading did not really sing to your soul, then just skip on over it. But for those of you where grief is coming up, you are absolutely being held. And the reason why a lot of this stuff is coming up, we want to be really clear here, pal, too. None of this old stuff is coming in. You know, don't go down the rabbit hole if there's still things for me to do. And you're making connections and you're really going into deep wounds to release. But there's nothing more that one needs to do going into one's shadow self or this, that, and the other. We're not going to stop you doing it. If you feel like you want to do it, do it. But really what you're doing is shining a light within, and some of the old stuff that is coming up that wants to be released and move into the light permanently is coming up. But again, you've done that work to integrate the grief. And you know, we're just going to do a little real talk here, pal, too. And it keeps coming up, the words self-hatred. It seems a little extreme, but bear with us. You've been very tough on yourself. A lot of you have been very tough on yourself one way or another. Your whole life, perfectionist standards. And sometimes this has set you off on a certain path and what you give your energy to and what you don't. And also it has the illusion of what things should look like, right? What relationships should look like, what your life should look like. Now, you've been working through all of that. Again, all of that light that you shine outside into the world, you've been shining within. All of this has been illuminated for you. So a lot of you have been really reacquainting yourself with yourself and restructuring your version of what you now want, what success, quote unquote, means to you, what is really instinctively important for you in this lifetime, what you want to achieve. And you can achieve it, you know, in the more basic form. You know, what you want to achieve is pure freedom, understanding, moving beyond polarity and judgment. We're giving you examples. And then specifically, you might want to achieve that in the way in which you are successful in your career. It doesn't have to be a purely spiritual aspect. You will be able to take the spirituality that you are, integrate it into the external world, and shine your light no matter where you are. But this is a beautiful time for you. because great healing has occurred, and through the great healing has this a huge amount of power that you now have accessible to you, and with that power you can draw in the abundance that you may have blocked for yourself before. So you have an incredible amount of light. You have an incredible amount, not just of strength, but of resilience. We want to be very clear, pal, too. Very few people would have been able to go through what you've been through and still have the amount of grace and beauty to get up every day and want to try again. To actually put that effort into yourself, put that effort into the world, and still want to get to the core of who you are and still want to move through everything. Very few people have that. People, have the sort of strength and resilience where they get up every day and they go out in the world and they do this and they do that, and they're beautiful, gorgeous people, but they don't want to look within too much. Because there's too much there. They don't want to. And that's their right. That's absolutely their right. Now, at some point, something might happen where they're forced to look within, or maybe they won't need to. Not everything in this lifetime in order to heal requires a vast amount of energy. Some things really do just fall into place as we move through, and there's various different ways, a million different ways to heal, and no spiritual path is the same. So, but for you, shining that light within and really seeing yourself for who you are and recognizing and celebrating that authenticity that you have, that quirkiness, that uniqueness that you have, but that real resilience to not just do your part, but to really keep your heart open. Now, there's been certain times in your life where you kept the heart closed. You had to do that out of protection. We totally understand that. And that was part of you gaining strength. That was part of you figuring out or refiguring who you were based on who you're not. Again, you have something in common slightly with pile one insofar as you're the sort of person that's been projected upon so much. And because you value other people's opinions and you value who they are and you give people space to be themselves, you took on a lot of that energy and believed certain aspects of people. And now they may not have outrightly told you that you weren't enough, but the way in which they were treating you was lesser than. And instead of seeing it the way it was more of a reflection of how they saw themselves. You took it personally, and you have every right to take it personally. When somebody's treating you a very specific way, it is personal, right? We can say that it isn't. Be the better person, move around it, rise above it. Yeah, all of that. That's fine. And some of it's hokey. We get to say that this hurt. This really hurt. The way you treated me really hurt. Now, when a lot of people do that to you, you start seeing a common denominator, and then you start, questioning, well, why are people constantly, projecting upon me in this way, And for some of you, you may have held a belief that you weren't as good as other people for some reason. And the reason is that you are a trailblazer, pile two. You don't do things the way other people do. Most people will go in a linear fashion. They go to college, they'll do this, all of that is wonderful, especially if you're happy. Go be you. But you've gone, instead of linear, I'm doing this and doing that, you've done everything zigzaggy, and your life has not always made sense to a lot of people. So in order to try and make sense of you, they're comparing you to a very significant, really sort of, just to make a point, ordinary way of moving forward. And that's not how you do it. Now, some people who have realized as you zigzag and you're doing your own thing, as they work on themselves personally, they realize the beauty that is you as they're working on themselves, and they've come to accept you a little bit later on. But you've always invited in, or some, we don't want to say always, you've invited in on occasion, you've invited in this sort of, this free notion of people comparing you to something that you never anticipated being a part of. But you took that to heart because, at the same time, we all need to be supported. We all need to have some kind of foundation from which we can figure out the world. You had to create your foundation from scratch, from thin air. without much support in that way. Now, it doesn't mean that people didn't love you and didn't think that you were great growing up, absolutely. And it wasn't, it's that you didn't have some kind of acceptance growing up and throughout your life. There's definitely been pockets of people and pockets of situations that have been in and around you. And, those are your angels giving you other angels in this lifetime so you don't give up altogether. But this is about you coming in and shining that light within, really just seeing all the beauty for what you are and seeing every single situation that you've been through for what it was. Oh, it really was the reflection of who they were. There was really nothing wrong with me. Yeah, I mean, and some of you are late bloomers too. So again, if this is a message just for you, then please take it because it's very important. If it isn't, don't worry about it. But for those of you who understand that you're a late bloomer, but if you're wondering if it's too late, or you're thinking about starting something pretty epic, but you're like, this is kind of late in the game, do not worry. You were always supposed to be a late bloomer. Everything is set up for you to achieve this stuff a little bit later on. And when you achieve it and when you do it, you actually will achieve it with the greatest amount of ease, because there is a timing element to your life, pile 2, and you're walking into that timing. There's a timing in this world right now. I know 2020 has been a crazy ride for absolutely everybody, no matter where you are in the world, we presume, right? And even if it's been a time of great healing and a great acceleration, it's also been a time of stress and confusion and all sorts of other things, and that's totally fine. But this is your time. This is the time for people to step up and step into a lot of stuff that they're supposed to be doing in their lifetime. And you will be doing this. Everything that you've been through, your accelerated process in this year has been, in time for you to move into this timeline. Now, once you seek and move into the timeline, you will accomplish what you want to accomplish very quickly. So the one thing that we can tell you, as a matter of fact, a very grounded sort of sensibility here of to see it, when you're saying I want to start something and it's a bit too late, you're seeing it as starting from the beginning. Instead of that, acknowledge that you're a late bloomer, acknowledge that this is what you're doing, and also acknowledge that you will get to where you want to be much quicker than anybody else who would be actually starting from the beginning. You're really not starting from the beginning. You're just not. So don't let any of that put you off. If your heart is telling you and your intuition is telling you this is the time and you want to start this, now it might be starting a brand new venture. But don't be intimidated, because everything you've been doing and everything you've been integrating, particularly in the last 8 to 10 months, has been preparing you for this moment. So you don't need to worry about any of it. It's all going to fall into place a lot quicker, and it's going to be a lot easier, come together a lot quicker. You're not starting at the bottom level here. You're going into this a little bit late, and this is not necessarily an age thing per se. This is a mentality. Going into this maybe quote unquote a little bit late, but you're not starting at entry level. You're going right up into CEO. So don't worry about any of that. If your heart and intuition is telling you to go for it, go for it. This is the timing. You will feel it. So if any of you are resonating with this aspect of the reading, then this is definitely letting you know that this new timing, whatever it is that you're supposed to do, it's a beautiful timing. Go be you, go do it. So shining within, do not dare at all doubt yourself. Try and compare yourself with anything and anyone, including old aspects of who you used to be. It's going to be useless completely. Try not to go over and over and over old versions of how things could have played out. That's another thing for some of you that you might be doing in order to sort it out once and for all. We urge you to go back to those situations, cut the cord once and for all, and let it go. If you are going over and over and over, it means that there's still an aspect of yourself that needs to be integrated, that still wants to be accepted by that person. Okay, now we're asking you to take all that light that you're shining within yourself and give yourself that self-acceptance completely, and that self-worth. It cannot, we don't need you to seek it outside of yourself at this point. Once your foundation is really set and you set yourself up into that really bright light, moving into this new timeline that you're about to move into, most of you are already on that timeline and you can feel it. There's a sense of ease, there's a sense of joy. Sometimes you get that sense of like, what am I doing? And this amazing amount of doubt will come in for a second. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. That's still your brain trying to make sense of it. That's absolutely fine. Just work through those moments. And sometimes these old sense of fears that will come up, they might come in and come in really thick and strong every now and again, but they're not being integrated into your psyche anymore. You can see it for where it is and say, all right, the image of this is coming in. What does it really mean? We know we're working on that. Thank you very much. And it's pulling out of the integration, and you're still moving forward in the way that you want to. So this is all about self-acceptance. Not forcing yourself to be seen or understood by anybody else. People can only understand you based on the level that they are at. And unfortunately, the people that sometimes you try to seek acceptance from were not capable of seeing you. Now, again, as we said before, to reiterate, there are certain people who will go off and they will work on themselves. If they choose to work on themselves, they will be able to come back and show appreciation later on. Do not wait for them, though. Do not wait for them to do this. This is all about shining your light within and giving yourself the self-respect that you've given others. And again, if you go back on the old stuff, just cut the cords. If you're going over and over and over, it's the old understanding of trying to, and it might be under the guise of quote unquote, I just want to get this done and get it sorted in my mind's eye once and for all so I can let it go. That's not really what's happening. You're still trying to seek some kind of understanding or be seen by the other person. Except that at least right now, that may not be possible. See yourself. Cut the cord anyway. Sometimes the quickest way back into somebody else's life is to cut the cord completely. And that way there's no energy between you guys anymore. And they are completely free to go off and do their thing. You are too. And then if it's in the card, you come back with a different soul contract. Very lightly, this has happened in my life many, many times. People have come back with new soul contracts. And we're bigger and better in a beautiful friendship later on. But we have to go off and do our own. And some people, are cut loose and go off, and they don't come back. And sometimes when they do come back, the old soul contract still exists, and we have to say thank you for seeking me out. And usually you don't have to say anything because the other person sense it, and they usually bugger off anyway. So either way, this is not exactly protecting your own energy, but this is about bringing back your freedom, shining your light within, and honoring your strength, your resilience, and your beauty on your own terms. Let's see what we have here from the numerology deck. This is a very exciting time for you, though. And because you're in this new cycle, and even if this is resonating with you, we always say that you might be at slightly different points of this reading. If you're getting into this feeling of brightness, of joy, sensing that there's something else out there for you, having an inkling, and then moving into the surefire knowing that you can have exactly what it is that you want and you deserve it. We really want you to sit with that energy, because that means you've gotten lighter. Some of the denseness of you, your energy, your frequency, and because you've cut cords with the old, you've been carrying a lot of other people's insecurities too, right? So once you cut those cords, it's another reason to make yourself lighter. As you are lighter, as your frequency is lighter, your guides can step in a way where you may have blocked certain successes before because you didn't feel as though you were ready for them. And you were absolutely right to do that, pal, too. But now you're ready for them. Your guides can work with you in this really beautiful way, which is sort of this much more dynamic way, much easier. I'm being shown, like before, it's like, trying to open that door. They wanted to, you were on the other side, they're trying to open that door. Now the door is gone, and it's just this sort of freeway backwards and forwards of this like beautiful, like sort of internet lightning speed backwards and forwards, where you can speak to them and get the knowledge of what you want. And also the other thing, when you speak to your guides at this point, or when you get to this point when you're feeling that frequency lighten up, you can ask them certain things like, what was I supposed to get from this one instance? And what do I need to know right now? And you clear as a bell messages, and they absolutely make sense. Your intuition, your heart chakra will open. You'll sit in that knowledge and you'll be like, huh. So ask your guides. They will help you make sense of all of this in a way that they weren't able to do before. And this information was not available to you at this level before. So there's a huge amount of assimilation that you're going through. It's a really joyous process. So please make sure that you check in with your brain and your ego when it starts coming up with a little bit of the doubt, a little bit of the fear, a little bit of this. Let it come in, remind it that there's no place for it. We needed you before, we don't anymore. Remind yourself that the sphere is no longer integrated within you, and it's just coming up. There's no warning. You don't have to go down the fear road. Just watch it come in and watch it go out again. So don't pay any attention whatsoever, especially, and this is something that you do, Paul, too. So especially if you get to the point where something looks like it's taking off, don't you dare doubt yourself as you're halfway there. Know that will come to fruition. You've had a lot of these stops and starts throughout your life where something looked like it was going to take off and it didn't. You blocked it. Now, there was a timing element with that, and that's totally fine. You're on that timeline now. Your timing element is now. This is your time. So as you're coming in and things are looking like things are feeling good and some great stuff is coming in, do not doubt it. Major healing on every level, cellular level, physical level, spiritual level, is available to you right now. So, and also the other thing, I just did a meditation. I think it's 16 to 17 minutes to meet your unicorn. Now they absolutely exist. If you believe in angels, then they are angelic beings, and they definitely work with people. I just got it. If you feel like you want to, go ahead and work through that meditation. I think I uploaded it yesterday. It's really easy to see. And then I will be working through all of the chakras healing with the unicorns. So check in with those two. That would be excellent for you to do right now, just to have a clear base and move everything out. Don't feel like you need to, though, only if you feel called to. You're absolutely, you're able to do all of this on your own. We're just offering extra support if you feel like you want to. So numerology, yes, rebirth. Now that's obvious. We already said that. And personal growth. Well, all of this is absolutely obvious. This is just telling us what we already know. And I want you to not get too much into the rebirth stuff, because it will feel as though you're brand new in some way, but actually all you're doing is shedding and coming back to the real you, the divinity that is within. So we're also going to do the enchanted cocktail. Look where my mind's at. The enchanted unicorn oracle. Yeah, treat yourself to a cocktail if you want to. Everything in moderation is good for you. So, until it isn't, right? Okay, one more we have here. Break your routine we have here. Now, this is something that you've been doing. I feel as though these cards are just reiterating what we've already done. You've broken the old way of seeing things and moving through things by shining your light outside. Now you're shining your light within and giving yourself that precious moments, that precious healing energy, and that space that you've given others your whole life. So you're already doing that, and you're breaking the old cycles. And even if they start to come back in, we've given you factual ways, very grounded ways of how to deal with them without getting integrated back into them. So these are things that you're already doing. Let's finish off with sea melodies. Been feeling the unicorn and mermaid energy for the last couple of days. Definitely feel it with you guys, especially working in other realms, the way in which you'll be working. Some of you might even channel a book, because the way in which you will be working with your guides is out of this world, literally. Very different and so much more clear than you have been before. So very exciting time. Let's see what we have here for you. Perseverance, stay the course. Again, We've talked about your resilience and how you've done that, the type of resilience that you have, and the gloriousness that you have with it. Perseverance, staying the course. You are staying the course. I feel like these last four cards are really just reiterating everything that we've already said. You already know that you have the perseverance. Please take some time to celebrate everything that you've been through and how beautiful you are and grounded in your own energy. And that will just really secure this beautiful, second coming of self-worth that's coming in for you. And it could not have happened to a better person. So pal 2, I sincerely hope that this, that this resonated with you. If it did, feel free to give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below if it resonated with you. I love hearing from you guys. And of course, subscribe and hit that bell icon. Be part of the Unicorn Light Tarot family here on the internet. We would love to have you if you're not already a valued member of the subscription tribe. And as always, we have other ways to work with energy and support and healing. I was going to say downstairs, you know what I mean. Down there in the description, we have a beautiful Unicorn School of Light courses down below, and other ways to be in and around this energy. So as always, sending so much love and light to you. Stay safe and sane, pal 2. And until we meet again, bye-bye. Hello, my lovelies. Welcome back. So I just realized something. We've got some spider trickster energy coming in, which I have had around me for the last couple of weeks. It's been really funny. So I noticed that pile 2 was actually pile 3 and vice versa. So this is what I suggest we do, going with the energy. So if you wanted to pick a pile and you're attracted to the number, the actual number, pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, then go with that. But if you were attracted to, and the reason why you chose the pile was the iconography on top of it, then you might want to swap out. It's totally up to you. So as we had it at the beginning, pile 3 became pile 2. So this is actually pile 2 from the beginning, but it became pile 3. So sometimes trickster energy is what we need to kind of shake things up and do things a little bit differently. So again, it's totally, I do apologize. I've never done that before, but like I said, this energy is so around me, this trickster energy recently, especially spider energy. It's great. So this was originally pile 2. It's now pile 3. So it's up to you if you want to go back to pile 2, whatever you want to do, but we're calling this pile 3. So this is the handmade, beautiful dream catcher there. So this is pile 3. And of course we have our healing and activation candle, and we are getting you messages from the Angel Guide Oracle, messages of power and light. So we're going to start with this oracle, and then we're going to move on. We also have the Ghosts and Spirits Tarot for some extra clarification. So we have blessings and abundance. That is your first. If you can really see, I just absolutely love the, I was going to say cinematography, the illustrations. Raise your vibration is your second one. Okay. So as always, there's different energies in each pile, but we're always channeling from the collective consciousness and what people are going through, and we're all sort of, we're always connected, but we're definitely more connected as the ascension process takes off, and as people are healing from the old and really finding their feet and their grounding in this lifetime and accepting themselves for who they are, and moving into a real sense of autonomy and authority. But we are pulling from the collective. So it's from pile 1 and pile 2, we are definitely feeling as though it's time to really step in and accept, with gracious gratitude, this responsibility of being all of you and accepting every single aspect of you, pile 3. Now, Pile three, I'm not surprised that you chose the dream catcher because it's absolutely beautiful illustration of what you want to catch and what it is that you want to be free of. And it's, we've said, one way or another with pile one and pile two, don't be so hard on yourself. And, it's easy to say, but for you, really seeing what you consider the darkness within yourself. It's really funny the way in which you have the dichotomy. You're not afraid of darkness. In fact, most of you will put yourself right into the midst of it. You can really understand it. You're fearless in that way. You've gone really, really deep and dark. And that's who you are. But at the same time, this other aspect of you exists in the same time frame, and it's the lesser part of you that you consider lesser, the way in which you've acted or certain things that you find it very difficult to integrate. You would rather pull in all the great aspects of self and really sort of shun the other parts of you. Like, for instance, if there was you've grown so much, there's different versions of you. There's different versions of you out in the world, but there's different versions of you from your past. And instead of really truly assimilating, accepting every aspect of that self, you would choose to sort of cut those cords and let that part of you go. Now, instinctively, there's nothing wrong with that, right? It seems liberating, seems beautiful. But there is an acceptance of the level that there might still be a little bit of a lesson. There's still a part of you that you're cutting loose from your past. And what we're asking you to do, instead of cutting loose that, is to integrate all aspects of yourself. Your message, and for you to gain and really move into your power and solidify your power, it is very, very, very much about you accepting every aspect of yourself, including all the shadow self that you pulled out of, because you've done so much shadow work. So you've come out on the other side of it, so you're proud of that part. But the shadow aspects, you still again want to you want to cut away or cut the cords to, but actually you're cutting away a part of you, and we're asking for you to come back whole, completely, and see every aspect of you as for you, as a blessing and abundance, because it has a message for you. You're being asked to put yourself back together, instead of letting aspects of yourself go. And again, we want to be really clear. There's nothing wrong with cutting the cords and saying this doesn't work for me anymore, and I don't need to be that person anymore. That's absolutely fine. And for other people healing, that might be the best way for them to work. We want to remind you, there's no two ways of everybody heals in their own time. Everybody has their own, timeline and ways to do it. No, one person's healing does not mean that everybody needs to heal that way. Not everybody needs to eat the same diet. Not everybody needs to do the same thing. It's a very personal journey. So it may have worked before, may have worked for other people, but full integration for you comes from accepting every aspect and nuance of your life and every aspect of who you used to be. You're being asked to embrace all of that. That's where you find true freedom and then real power. The King of Wands, absolutely, and the Four of Cups. You are definitely being asked to come out of the illusion. And the thing is you have such an incredible, beautiful imagination, right? That when you go back to the old you, the reason why you've cut the cords in the first place, we totally understand it, is because you can go back into a situation and really be there. You're very creative. Most of you, you could be writers. You could build stories. You build stories. You build worlds. You build worlds in your heads. You can do them on paper. You can do them through music. However you do it, storytelling is your game, and you have a different way of doing it than other people. But when you go back to something, you can imagine yourself right there. So if you go back to a sense of your old self, you're still there, and it's almost like you're reliving it. So it's the practical aspect of you says, if we cut the cords, we don't have to go back there anymore. We don't have to keep reliving it. So it's totally understandable that, the way in which you want to heal is that you go back and you cut the cords. But you're being asked to see through the illusion. There's a missing piece of the puzzle here, that could make you stronger if you decide not to cut those cords anymore. And again, go back into all those old versions of yourself, see them for what they are, and see through the illusion of it. You won't need to cut those cords. There's some extra vital information that you'll be able to assimilate by going back, but actually pulling yourself out of it without immersing yourself anymore, and really understanding the illusion of all of that. This is the last piece of your puzzle. You're being asked to really do this. It's going to take a lot of guts to do it, and you've got the strength and the beauty to be able to do that. It will help you raise your vibration to where you are. When you cut the cords, the ironic thing is that when you cut the cords, you think that you're done with it. But by actually cutting the cords, the information that's still waiting to be relayed to you cannot come to you because you cut the cords. So, and you've not really cut the cords. The only way you actually really physically get to cut the cords is if you go back and refigurate what illusion is for you, what the narrative is for you. And then ironically, you won't need to cut the cords anymore. They'll dissolve on their own. You have the strength to be able to do this. And you've done so much work on yourself, so much practical work on yourself. And this practicality is what's telling you, cut the cords, let's do this, we're doing that. And all of that is wonderful. We're asking you at this point to rely a little bit more on the intuition, open up your heart chakra. We're going to open up the heart chakra for you really wide right now. And also your unicorn horn right there, as we call it, the third eye chakra, really open that up. The way in which you've healed before has been wonderful, and that practical sensibility has literally kept you alive, and it's been gorgeous, and we absolutely love it. Nothing said against it. We're asking you to set down that mentality just a little bit now and really come into this heartfelt divine feminine in this huge way. Now, this should be quite easy for you because you're here to represent and be part of the divine feminine. That's been a real aspect of who you are. So really pulling in the divine feminine to sort of move through this last part of the jigsaw puzzle should be quite easy for you. But you've been using that practical sort of masculine sensibility at times, and that sort of lack of balance, for want of a lesser term, but just to make it clear, is what can sometimes hold you back from getting the complete story and completely healing and moving forward. And the way in which you move forward and know that you're completely healed is that you feel lighter and your vibration has gone up. And that is understandable. When the vibration goes up, you absolutely feel it. You absolutely know it. You cannot unknow and go back into lower vibration. You might put yourself into situations where you're in lower vibration, but you'll be able to see that, but you'll always be able to go back up to that higher vibration. So there's a little bit of a lesson here for you, but you're ready to do it. And we want to be really clear. This is not about going down the rabbit hole. I say this all the time. The healing has been done. This is just about a little bit of a tweak and a perception to be able to see this a little bit differently, to be able to equate your own power with your intuition, and again pushing through the notions of illusion. There's a great powerful, extremely powerful lesson for you to learn when you're on the other side of illusion. You'll be able to once you've gathered the true illusion, you'll be able to apply that to the matrix, to the external world, to everything you've ever been through. There's a huge lesson here, and it's ready for you. It's ready for you to pluck off the tree. There's nothing else for you to do. We're just asking you, this is the easiest way for you to be able to do it. So let's go on to numerology here for a little extra, and also, your timeline to move forward to be able to do this is absolutely gorgeous. And please be very, very understanding about all aspects of yourself, and pull in accept all aspects of yourself. If you really shine the light, and you've shone the light on everything that isn't working. This came up, parenting too. for you to pass on to the next generation, and also to reparent yourself too. You've had to do a lot of this. These are always general readings. So if this aspect of the reading does not resonate with you, no biggie. But you've had to figure out a lot of this stuff on your own. You've had extremely powerful guides, though, your entire life. And a lot of it has been, yes, there's absolutely free will. Yes, absolutely. But we also have free will. We have free will, but a lot of stuff for you was fated, and a lot of timing for you was fated. Who you met, when you met them. You did have support structured throughout your life. You needed that. We've already said that. But you've had to figure out all of this on your own. But the beauty of it is that you can write a book after this. I think pile 2, which was actually pile 3, pile 2, so in tune that they can channel now and actually write a book. This is your understanding of the world. Once you put yourself through all of it and come out on the other side of it, because you've done it yourself, you'll be able to set down ground rules and understanding for other people who never had anybody show them either. So this is very important work, and you'll do this through building worlds, whatever that means to you. Yes, there's a certain amount of creativity in there, but you'll be building worlds, building new worlds. That's what you'll be doing. So this is how you can build your new world to freedom. So let's see what we have here. Numerology. We have health. All of this, when you raise your vibration, everything is healing on a cellular level. Things ailments that have been with you for a while that you kept with you, because that's another thing, when you didn't accept every aspect of yourself and you wanted to cut that cord, you may have kept some of that energy within and it crystallized in the body. And none of that is a really big deal. At the same time, we're not doctors, so if you need to go see one, please do. But all of that crystalline hardness in your body, one way or another, as you rise up and as you really do cut those cords in a brand new way, they're not cutting them, you're dissolving them by seeing through the illusion and fully accepting every aspect of yourself, every beautiful, vulnerable, gorgeous aspect of yourself. These should dissipate. And this is also another section of your life where you get to see what miracles look like. Absolute, total miracles. You've had certain aspects in your life when you've given up and you've surrendered, and something interesting has happened, something quite vibrant and beautiful, right? But these are miracles that will happen, across the board at an everyday level. This is the level of what you will be, the level of life that you will be living. Domestic harmony, absolutely creating families, no matter what that looks like to you. And having that safe space at home. For some of you, again, general reading. For some of you, you didn't necessarily, various different degrees. You didn't always have a completely safe space at home, and there was very different reasons. You could have had great parents, but they were prone to drama, or they weren't able to parent. They honestly did their best, and while they weren't, abusive per se, again, there was a lot of this refiguring and having to figure this out for yourself. There wasn't a firm foundation. You had to learn and do that for yourself. So building this for yourself, a firm foundation for you now and for your future family, whatever that looks like, or rebuilding it if you already have your family structure. This is going to be a new sort of reaffirming, grounding notion. A lot of your power also comes from your family, not just bloodline, but the actual family that you have at home. That you have built for yourself, that foundation, allowing yourself to open up and love somebody enough. There's been pain there, pile 3. You've had to take your time with opening up to people, but this is also going to change for you too, which is absolutely gorgeous. And all those changes, again, shift your frequency and allow in this amazing amount of love and light. That you've been shielded from. You shielded yourself from it. You've had moments of it, but you've not been able to stay at that level of gorgeousness, of this pure joy, high level constantly. This is a place that you can stay and create, and it doesn't have to go anywhere, So dragonfly, everything is going to be fine. Absolutely. As we go through these, and you've gone through so much, And you've learned so much, and you've done all of this work, and you've done all of the hard work. This is whatever we're asking you to do, should you decide to do it. If this resonates, it's not hard work for you. Again, very, very easy, simple tweak and perception. But especially recently, everything is changing. And, a lot of these really deep founded kind of fears are coming up and being released. And that leaves you with a lot of room, right? That leaves you a lot of space. And that can be quite discerning sometimes. So we want you to know that everything's going to be okay. We want you to know that even though this is a brand new space that you've never been in, and of course you might have a little trepidation, you have your guide. You're exactly where you need to be. And you will not feel alone. If you're coming into that space where you're still a little like dumbstruck or figuring this out, like you know everything's going to be okay in a cellular level, but they're still like, oh my goodness, this is brand new, what am I looking at? Just ease into the knowledge that the universe has your back more so than they ever have. They've always had your back, but more so, we say, because you can actually feel it now. You feel the support. No longer having to do things on your own. Again, rely back into the heart space, the vulnerability, coming back into reintegrate your beautiful gorgeousness of the divine feminine, and reacquaint yourself with what the divine feminine means for you now, and enjoy that new world that you're coming into, that new way of seeing through the illusion of everything. And let's see what we have here. Elemental energy is coming up. I love mermaid energy. One more for you, pile 3. Strength, stay afloat and feel steady and calm. Absolutely. And this is a message directly from I was going to say landlord. Oh my goodness. That would have, the way you may have felt about the universe right before. This is definitely a message from your angels and your guide support system here. Stay afloat and feel ready and calm, steady and calm. We've got you. We've absolutely got you. And just a remembrance, a reminder, an absolute reminder that you are not on your own. You are not doing this on your own. This is a beautiful time for you to step up and really come into that full self-appreciation and self-love, and seeing yourself, self-worthiness, all of that on your own terms, which just equates to a huge amount of power and autonomy that nobody can really touch once you really know who you are, So gorgeous time for you, pile 3. Again, we're trusting that the pile 2s and the pile 3s will sort themselves out. Again, the trickster energy has been around me for the last week. So that is what we're doing with pile 3. If this resonated with you, do feel free to give me a thumbs up. And do let me know in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys. If it resonated, of course. And we also, of course, always have other ways to work with energy. The Unicorn School of Light, everything is down below in the description box. So if you feel called to, go check out some courses. We are sending so much love and light to you. So much love and light to you. Indeed, indeed, indeed. Pile 3, aka pile 2. And until we meet again, please stay safe and safe and sane. You are absolutely worthy, and we love you to bits. Until we meet again. Bye-bye.